So 2.5 is here, along with the new strategist Ultron. Now, it took me a few games to get a chance to actually try him out. He is much more popular than Sue was on release day. I was able to play her quite often on day one, but Ultron not so much. Not only was I able to play him, but it was also on the new map as well. Since this was the only game I had with Ultron, which lasted about 7 minutes, don't expect even decent gameplay of him, just kind of enjoy what you're looking at. I was looking at his abilities the entire time waiting for this game to start, and surprisingly, he started becoming easier to learn toward the end of the game after cycling through his abilities, and I quickly came to a conclusion, and you might hear me repeat some things after breaking him down in the next part of this video. Since I was able to try him on the new map, I'll quickly point out that the new map itself was very confusing to navigate, and it wasn't just me, but most of the players in this game specifically said the same thing after it ended. It could be that we weren't used to seeing walls and a ceiling on all sides rather than a nice detailed background like we usually see with every other map, especially with Wakanda in particular having one of the most gorgeous backgrounds we've ever seen. The map itself just feels a little more on the bland side, but I'll just attribute this to the fact that 1, it was my first time playing this map, and 2, I was focused on learning Ultron as we were advancing, so I didn't really have time to actually take in the sights of this map. Now on to Ultron. I'm going to mention it later on in the video that he is definitely not a primary healer. I mentioned in my previous video about talking about me being a support main and why people should try and play support more often, that Ultron might end up being a pseudo DPS support hero with a kit that offers some defense, and I actually was right, so to speak. His basic attack is also the most unique in the game in that it's a short beam that ends with the final hit doing a small burst of extra damage. His shift ability acts like Johnny Storm's, only Ultron gets an immediate burst of speed upon activating it, and then slowing down to more of a cruising speed like Johnny. His form of healing comes from his drone. His drone is an active skill. It has no cooldown or timer, and will stick to the teammates attached to until the drone is destroyed, or you switch it off to another ally. The drone is constantly providing a heal over time AoE ability, with the healing being on par with Mantis's healing, only without the short timer or single target aspect. Think of it as a mix between Cloak and Dagger's AoE on her healing bomb, but with Mantis's level of healing. The drawback is the drone can easily be destroyed, so you need to make sure you have good awareness to realize the drone has been destroyed in order to maintain your sustainability, or if your teammate tells you that the drone has been destroyed or your teammate's dead. His right click provides an overshield as well as overshields to allies within the vicinity of the drone if it's active. The shield, however, has a very short duration before it goes away unless damage has been taken. With the drone's healing on par with Mantis, this means that trying to sustain tanks can be a bit too difficult for Ultron, though that all depends on how much damage your tanks are absorbing to begin with. Also kind of depends on the team composition as well. Trying to keep Emma's health up in this game was a slight challenge, and was where I kind of noticed Ultron is more of an auxiliary healer like Adam. He is good at supporting another strategist. In fact, Ultron's drone is better used on your frontline DPS heroes, while his ult is very good at keeping the team sustained fully during a team fight, while also getting in some damage as well. Just keep in mind, the ult is not meant to be used for DPS aspects. Just keep that in mind. I've already seen a lot of Ultrons trying to use it as like a team wipe type thing. It doesn't work. You're not getting the damage needed to do a team wipe. Ultron is also good for someone who has that DPS mentality but doesn't mind doing some healing, as the drone is pretty much a set it and forget it type of ability. So long as it doesn't get destroyed, teammate dies, or you're just cycling it to whoever needs it. He does have some versatility with the drone, but it ultimately comes down to how well the AoE heal gets utilized. Your teammates can see the drone when it gets put on them, so if the communication is there, they can turn themselves into a mobile health station, leaving Ultron to do his own thing until the drone needs to be switched to another teammate. Also, one thing to note too, for DPS mentality type players who want to try out Ultron is really strong on the DPS side of things. In fact, I almost consider Ultron to be more pseudo healer than he is pseudo DPS. When doing a double take on Ultron's kit, it's plainly clear that his kit is designed to support the team, not actually heal the team, because he only has the one healing purpose, which is the drone. Otherwise, it actually is a very good supporting kit, especially if you have another healer, like a primary healer like Cloak and Dagger or Invisible Woman or Luna or just any of those primary healers. Ultron is really good at supporting them with his own kit as well. And one more thing to note is because of his DPS, not because of his DPS, because his ult has some damage to it as well as the healing aspect of it. I know that some DPS people have said in the past that, you know, they don't play healers often, but when they have no choice but to switch to healer, I feel like many of them will have trouble learning when to actually pop their ult. Sometimes I've seen some panic ults from supports, and then a lot of us will have to ask ourselves, why did they pop the ult in the first place when it wasn't needed? A lot of times that's just them panicking because they don't want to die or something. There are a couple times where I had done a panic ult as a support, but usually I try and panic ult at the right time, not at the wrong time. I just don't want a DPS player to see Ultron's ult as a form of team wipe rather than a form of team sustainability during a team fight. Okay, that was just one match, but it was enough to give my own personal take on Ultron. So he is not a primary healer. I can tell you that right now. He is not a primary healer. He is more of an auxiliary or an ancillary healer. He also works well in a triple support setup as well because he is more refined for DPS than he is for support. I mean, he's got some pretty strong basic attacks. Like this is his basic attack, by the way. You don't have to hold left click. You just tap the click, and then on the final hit, there is that little AoE explosion or something. I don't know. I don't think it's an AoE explosion, but the final hit does a little bit more damage. It does not crit, though. That's the other thing, too. Keep in mind, he is not a critable character. Like, that's it right there. Like, those are headshots, but it does not crit, which I'm fine with. It also does not heal targets as well. It doesn't heal allies. The drone in particular, the drone is the main part of his kit. So long as the drone remains active, it's always going to be healing players. There is no cooldown to it. There is no timer to it. Bot will sit on an ally until the ally has died or you swap it to another character. But it's an active ability. It's always going to be there. But its healing potential is pretty good. But if you were to use Ultron, it's best to support your DPS players, especially for your frontline DPS like an Iron Fist or a Winter Soldier or Hawkeye, or just anyone who's good at being a frontline DPS and supporting their tanks. That's who Ultron should be focusing on. But again, it kind of just depends on the team setup. Now, the drone in particular, you could use it on a tank, but if the tank is like a bruiser like Thor or an Emma, it's probably going to be difficult to sustain them with just the drone itself because of all that damage that they're soaking in. The drone is going to get targeted either unintentionally or intentionally. That's the only weakness to the drone, is it can get easily destroyed, which again, that's his primary form of healing. And his secondary form of healing, which isn't really healing, it's just an overshield, which is his right click. I mean, it is a way to kind of support your front line. But when all else fails, use his ult. Now, the ult, you don't have to actually hold left click. The ult fires on its own. But again, from what I've noticed picked up really quickly, never use his ult for team wipes. Don't expect that his ult will be good for team wiping. It's best to save his ult for sustaining the entire team in a team fight. That's the best time to use his ult. It is kind of tempting to use his ult on some weaker characters, or at least characters that you can tell, or not tell, but you can see are about to die. But if you need to win that team fight, if it's a really important team fight, like it's an overtime type team fight where you have to win, definitely save Ultron's ult for those type of situations. The sustainability from his ult is incredible, but again, I haven't actually been able to see what the ult can protect you against versus what is weak against. But that is the best way to use his ult. Don't ever try and pair it up with like a Groot ult or something, like an ally Groot ult. Save that ult for team fights, or better yet, if an enemy group manages to root your entire team, ult your entire team, then yeah, go ahead and ult them and save the entire team from a team wipe. Now, obviously, he does have his weaknesses as well. Like, look at this. I was able to bring this frontline guy back to, well, not back to full health, but look at that. I mean, the heal is out healing the damage. Now, he is a flying type character, which means he does have his weaknesses. He does have his counters. Yeah. Yeah, he does have his counters, you know, if you're up against a really good Hawkeye or really good Black Widow or Winter Soldier, just anyone who's really good at taking out flying characters, including Namor himself too. I mean, those are Ultron's hard counters, basically. Otherwise, he no longer, as a strategist, if you pick Ultron, you're no longer going to have to worry about melee-based dive characters like Captain America, Iron Fist. I mean, kind of depends on how good the Iron Fist is, the aerial stuff, and Black Panther too. I mean, the really, really annoying Newsome dive characters, Ultron does not have to worry about them. And then his shift ability, kind of like Johnny Storm's, although he does have that little burst and shit, his little burst when he starts to shift. I tend to use it as a dodge mechanic. So if you're getting hit, you know, you can quickly strafe to the left or the right. You do get some of that faster movement as well. Moving forward, it's best to pair Ultron up with a primary healer like Invisible Woman. Jeff is actually still pretty decent at healing. A lot of people have actually been playing Jeff a lot more, and I've also played Jeff once or twice too as well since the update dropped. Jeff hasn't changed a whole lot. He does feel like the same Jeff, although maybe if you wanted to, Jeff is more like minimum wage now as opposed to a high-paying Jeff. But he is still there. He is pretty annoying. The ult's still there. All right, so one last thing about Ultron is its team-up ability with Iron Man actually gives him a beam. That is very reminiscent of Moira's ult from Overwatch, and it's honestly the best way to keep tanks sustained. You know, tanks in particular sustained, because you know they do have so much more health to worry about than the DPS. And I've already quickly figured out that saving his team ability is best used on tanks, especially if they're near death, because you know there's only so much that the drone and your right click can do. It only keeps them in the fight for just a little bit longer, whereas this not only keeps them in the fight, but can also damage enemies in front of them, possibly kill them as well, and of course, restoring their health as well. One thing I don't know if this would be a popular opinion or not, but giving him that beam, that team-up ability of his, I don't know, I kind of feel like the team-up ability could have been best used as a standard ability for Ultron, but just give it, you know, like I said, like a 15-second cooldown, and giving him something else, or maybe have the team-up ability benefit Tony instead. I don't know, that's kind of just my opinion. Overall, Ultron actually is a solid option, especially if you're kind of, again, like you have that DPS mentality and you want to do some healing, but you still want to do damage. Ultron is there for that purpose. His kit is good at supporting his team, good at supporting a primary healer. He does have some good healing, but again, in my opinion, I think it's better to focus on keeping your DPS frontline alive, and I mean, obviously not completely ignoring your tank, but whenever the tank needs the healing, go ahead and pop the drone there. Just don't expect the tank to survive for very long. They do need a primary healer, or at least a hero who has better healing potential than Ultron, to keep the tank on the front line, while Ultron can focus on keeping the DPS frontliners in the fight. I just feel like the drone was meant to help with supporting the front line, but only time will tell. I don't see Ultron ever needing to get any sort of nerf anytime soon. He seems to be in a good spot. I could see him getting tweaks to his healing potential, maybe even a quality of life type thing. With that being said, savor the moment if and when you get the chance to use Ultron. He is a lot of fun to play. He's the kind of hero that will see several different types of playstyles, and I can't wait to see how he'll be played as time goes on. Here's hoping Season 3 will be just as good. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in that next video, whatever it may be.
Extermination!